We have a very cool car for you today because it's the future from the past. This is the Volkswagen XL1 and you wouldn't believe it if I told you this is from 2012. It's actually a concept that started back in the early 2000s by Ferdinand Piëch, and obviously it's such a goofy looking car. We have the aero disc at the front, we have the cameras here, so there's no mirrors. We have this panel here that covers the wheel just for the aerodynamics, and if we come to the back you can see it has this teardrop shape, so it's super aerodynamic. We have this nice spoiler as well. Underbody is fully flat, and if you look inside here, come. This is the charger because hybrids weren't really a thing over 10 years ago, so it has its own dedicated charger, and you can see carbon everywhere, carbon everywhere. It's a fully composite carbon car. It's really cool. And honestly, I really dig the look of the XL1, and of course you cannot have a cool car without butterfly doors. So I think it's time for a drive, don't you think? With a little cutout for your head. It's so tiny. Okay, this is a really cool car, and it's a car that was 10 years in the making. Let's just start it. Everything starts buzzing and beeping. We just put it into drive and off we go. Starts electric. And you have this very cute Garmin screen. It's really like it's literally branded from Garmin. It has the hybrid information and everything. It's such a funny car. First of all, it's so quiet inside here, but yeah, as I've said, there's nice. I have like just this much space. I'm just taking it in as you guys would. It has an electric 27 horsepower engine, which is currently running. It's actually going quite smoothly, quite fast. The steering wheel is made out of carbon, which is really cool. Yeah, we're just cruising electric right now. This, yeah, as I've said, this is a project 10 years in the making, and it's the pet project, as you'd say, of the well-known Ferdinand Piëch. He wanted to achieve something with what he first called the L1. And it was the car that would do 1 liter per 100 kilometers. It was introduced as a concept car, I believe, in 2002, 2003, and from there onwards, just the way it glides, the rolling resistance is so little, like it's a slight downhill and we're just accelerating basically. But yeah, it was started as a concept car. I believe then it had a tiny engine with seats in like a tandem way. Oh, the seats are so upright as well. I would need a pillow, I think, but that would cost too much weight. No, but yeah, tandem. I believe the car was less than 400 kilos, and it managed to do it. And there it evolved. The L1 had a next concept in 2008 or 2009, I believe. And it still retained the tandem side, but it looked more like what we see today. And then in 2012 or 13, I believe, they finally introduced the XL1. And this is the car that we're driving. And they said that they were going to put it into production. And so, this is it. We have 50 kilometers of range on the battery. It's one of VW's first hybrid cars. And I have to say it, like, just on the electric alone, it's super fast. I mean, it's a tiny car and it weighs like nearly nothing. Talking about the weight, 795 kilos. That's like the weight of 10% of a new M5, I think. The brakes are very squeaky. It's like you can feel the regeneration, and then once you hit the brakes, they're very noisy. But honestly, it's quite the cool experience. I think it goes 0 to 112. But yeah, just driving on the exact power, full power. Also, yeah. Sorry to forget there's there's even a diesel engine, and I'm waiting for it to kick in. No, as I've said, yeah. So then, 2013 was finally when the XL1 would reach its production stage, which was a really big thing for the VW group, and especially for Ferdinand Piëch. He's also the great mastermind behind the Bugatti Veyron, and was the one who pushed the Volkswagen into doing these cool projects. Inside, the production car, less than 800 kilos. It's super tiny. I think it's 1.1 or less than 1.2 meters high. The car is less than 3.9 meters long. It's super wide. Super thin. So it just feels like you're kind of a little bit lost in the wide roads. And you can see we have gone away from the tandem seating that was in the concept, and we now have the second seat next to it, but it's a little bit pushed further back, and that's because you can keep the narrow body, which also if the body is narrow, you have less drag and road noise. I don't think there's a lot of sound insulation in this, or maybe there's not even any sound insulation, but it's a very cool driving car. Honestly, like, it's not running harsh as well. I can feel everything, but it's really cool to drive it. But yeah, then the production came along, and they said that they were going to build 250 of these amazing cool cars. They sold them for, I believe it was 110,000 euros, which honestly, considering insiders have called it the 1 billion euro project, and yeah, if you're going to build 250 and they only sold 200 of them as well, they kept 50 for a few, like here with VW Belgium, I believe, and then for some other countries as well, and just to keep them in the factory. And so if you're selling 200 cars at 110,000 euros and it's a $1 billion project, I can I don't need to do the math for you, but it lost them like 5 million euro per car, which, yeah, it might not make any sense in the logical way, but it was at the time it was a prestige project for the VW group, and it showed them their commitment to efficiency. And I think this also shows that we've been gone a little while from the whole efficiency trip. So I was in EV mode now, I see, so I'll push it off and then we can talk about the engine. There it is. It is quite noisy though, yeah, I have to admit that. The reason why it's so noisy is it's not your typical 1.6 diesel that you get in any other Volkswagen. It's actually the 1.6 cut in half. So we have a 800cc 2-cylinder turbocharged engine, and it produces 48 horsepower. It's more than enough, honestly, but it's quite funny that they just literally chopped it off. And with all of this combined, and the result of that is, as it says, the XL1, it does 1 liter per 100 kilometers on the NEDC cycle. So if you would do it on WLTP as it gets calculated, now I think it's probably a little, the steering is so heavy that it's unassisted. I think it's probably going to be a little higher than what it was in the day. But even then, let's see if we can check on the Garmin. We have the computer here, and it's telling us now currently, because we've been running in EV mode a lot, it's 0.6 liters. So I'll put it up here so what I've driven at the end of the day, to see real life stuff. But honestly, it's a really cool car, and the way it just handles on the road without any power steering, it's super cool. I'll cut to an outside view where we show you a little bit more about the car and the quirky things right now. So the reason why the XL1 is such an efficient car, and you only need 1 liter per 100 kilometers to drive it is, first of all, we have these very, very tiny wheels. They are 115 in size. I think some mountain bikes might have bigger wheels, but it creates a lot less rolling resistance. We have this perfect teardrop shape, which attributes to less than 0.19 coefficient of drag, which is probably one of the slipperiest cars I've ever seen. This is also thanks to no mirrors. We have the indicators in here as well. Something really cool, if we open the doors, you can see it's carved out, so it's much easier to access. The interior is very, very Volkswagen from its time. Some parts are actually of the Volkswagen Up, believe it or not. And then you can see also the carbon core, carbon everywhere. On the inside of the doors, we have the screens here, and yeah, the cute Garmin as well. It's a really fun car, and if we just close the windows for a minute, I can show you. They open very conveniently manually, all in the pursuit to save weight. It's insane. I wonder how, if would your drive-through food pass through here? Not sure. And then now we're back inside the car. Yeah. Honestly, I think one of my favorite things is the enclosed wheels and how tiny the wheels are. But it just the full shape of the car, the teardrop shape, and there is the engine. It is a noisy bugger, but it's because it's a 2 liter. There's no sound insulation. It's actually like right behind me, and so that's why it's not the most refined thing. But I said this to you, and I think this is where we as a society have maybe gone a little wrong, because we are constantly in the pursuit of more efficient cars, having to do everything as efficient as possible. And what are we doing? We are creating cars that weigh 2 to 2.5 tons. They're super bloated. No one can park them anymore properly inside a car park because all the space is there way too tight. And actually, even though this is like it taken to the extreme, and honestly, I could really use a pillow behind my back to sit a little bit more, and yeah, maybe like 5 centimeters of extra headroom would have been nice. This shows if you commit to something that it's possible. And granted, yeah, the body is full of composites. The windows, they're polycarbonate. Like, it's not a cheap car, and yeah, you can say for 110,000 euros, it's a very small car. But I would think that if you would have to make something like this today, it will cost you less because the technology is there, the technology evolves, and if you can then scale it up, lower the price, and maybe you have to make some sacrifices, or maybe you can improve the way things are without having to add too much weight and everything. And we move into a society that is driving in a much more sustainable way. Yeah, this is only a 2-seater, but I think also a lot of people are missing the point when they want a big car, and for most of the time they're only going to be driving it on their own. Single windscreen wiper, how lovely. And the view as well from inside the car, it's actually super nice, because we have this big view. The A-pillar is quite far forward, so it's really easy to see around of. And also these windows, because weight savings, it's only like partially, and you wind them down manually in a 110-pound gear car. It works really well. I can stick my arm around. Honestly, it's more than enough. And I think maybe also we got too spoiled with cars. If you want to be more efficient, then by all means, go for it. And that means that you have to make sacrifices, but no one wants to make sacrifices, and everyone wants to have a bigger, more shiny car with everything this, blah, 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 patati, patata. And in the end, you end up with a car that doesn't really get anywhere, and then people are frustrated. Yeah, the range in my electric car is so low because yeah, it's go figure. It's so heavy. This car, it has a hybrid battery, has a diesel engine, and it still weighs less than 800 kilos. So I think if you would have to like adapt this to a more, to a more modern day production, actual production, because I know this is a production, but actually to live with, I think you could get it to 1200 kilos and then have a little more creature comfort, maybe 4 seats as well. Yeah, Volkswagen has showed it's possible, and for the life of me, I can't figure out how it has gone so wrong in the automotive industry. The diesel went away with the VW Dieselgate scandal, which is a shame, because I think modern day diesels, they are so efficient and they have such great performance. I think if you would have to make this car again with today's technology, either you can get the same for less. It's actually so nice when the engine is turned off. We are still at 0.6 liters per 100 kilometers, by the way. And then, yeah, so like I said, the average consumption right now is still 0.7 liters per 100 kilometers, and we've driven a little over 14 kilometers right now. But it's really great. It does have its limitations, like trunk space is very limited, but you can see all the nice shiny carbon fiber. And yeah, there's no frunk, so there's only in the back, and you either take with you the electric charger because it has its own charger. Also because hybrid was new at the time, and it didn't, like a real actual charger didn't really exist back then, so it just used its own. And yeah, you're either bringing that or you're bringing some luggage, or maybe just as I've done, where you put your camera bag behind the seats. There's very little space. There's a small cupboard as well back here because there's no cupboard here. There's a little net to keep your documents, but other than that, it's very minimalistic, and it's quite nice. It's quite refreshing. Even though the engine is quite noisy, it's refreshing to have a car that's just this quiet, and it just leaves you alone, and you have to do the driving all by yourself. I'll cut this in here now. I wanted to do like some highway testing to see how it works and how it runs, and it's even better because the engine, the noise gets farther away from you, and it's actually really nice to drive. And the amount of people that just look at you and are like taking pictures. It's such a funny car. I've seen like at 120 it'll hover about like 2.5 to 3.2 liters per 100 kilometers, which I think is it's a really decent number, to be honest. And we're then just running on the ICE, the diesel engine. And so a diesel engine, it'll only go down the longer you run with it. So it's actually quite the good highway cruiser, which I wasn't really expecting. But then again, the aerodynamics and the way this thing works, it creates very little turbulence. So it's quite obvious that it's quite quiet around you, because when you have no turbulence, there's no noise being created, and it's just the noise of the tires. And because they're 115 at the front, 145 at the rear, they don't really create that much noise as well. Yeah, I'll get back to it to our regular review, but this is a really cool experience just driving it on the highway as well. Even though you're trying to drive sensibly and just very delicately, it's a really fun experience, just because a light car is a fun car to drive. And yeah, it's a pleasure to cruise around town with this. Honestly, it really is. Like handling wise, it's so nice. It's mid-engined, carbon fiber, rear-wheel drive, hybrid. And the cool thing as well, because it has this very aerodynamic shape, and I've told you about it on the outside, but on the inside it's only the mirrors here, and where I normally in reviews struggle with the camera here to have it centered out the mirror. There's no mirror here because the engine is back there and you can't see anything. So you're only relying on the two cameras that are sitting on the outside, which I also think is a production first for a car to have cameras with the XL1. And they're really good. They're not touchy like the e-tron that came after it. It just shows you, but also the view is really great to the outside. For parking, it's a little more difficult and you have to like swoop your head around, but it's a really, really cool car. I feel really fortunate to finally have driven the car in its form as it is, because when it came out, I didn't have the option, and I was always like, oh, damn. Because when are you ever going to drive such a thing? And if society doesn't change its views on how a car should be in terms of efficiency, we're going to keep getting these. I'm going to switch to EV in a little bit. If we don't make some sacrifices, get smaller cars, makes the roads very nice again, I think we're going to struggle as a society to push for efficiency. And we keep driving these bloated, useless SUVs. Feels like a very dark note, but I think more people should look at this and be like, this is more where we need to go. If we want to have efficiency and if we want to have something that looks truly futuristic, because honestly, if you're looking at it, it's an absolute spaceship. It's super, super cool. Yeah. I can live with wind down windows. Like, who cares? It's super cool. And these feel very race car as well. So I want to thank Volkswagen Belgium for letting us borrow this car for today. It's been a real eye-opening experience. I've never experienced something like this, and I don't think I'll be able to experience something like this in the future. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this video of me driving the XL1 and talking a little bit more about the history of the XL1, and I hope to see you in a next AutoNext video. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. What do you think about the XL1? You think they should have built more? You think they should have stuck to their principles? Let us know, and yeah, have a great day. Bye.